Welcome. I'm so excited to be with you today. It's time for us to have a massive breakthrough in 2025. And I love the ideas of breakthroughs. What I love most about it is that once you and your company learn how to be masters of breakthrough, when you learn the architecture, the secrets of what creates not just one breakthrough, but a whole consistent ongoing culture that just thrives in breakthroughs, then the growth that you hope to achieve in your business will become not just possible, but probable. So that's what this whole idea of the Force for Good system is how to create more and more probability that you and your company will create impact, scale, and profit at the level you crave, the level that you, the founder, you, your team really want. And so as I invite you to think about what you really want to create in your business. So let's take a moment to fast forward out. Let's just imagine we are 100 years into the future and your company is still thriving. It is still delivering impact. It is creating goodness in the world. It has transformative systems and programs and products and services that indelibly impact the lives of your customers. It has a culture, okay? A culture that's gone on for 100 years that creates a place that people love to work. As a matter of fact, everybody that comes to work for you always has the experience that the place that they worked with you was the best place they ever worked. So imagine that going on for 100 years. All right, and imagine now that you can create the prosperity. You can create the goodness for yourself, for your family, for those ongoing stewards and leaders of your company. Imagine that you're robust enough with prosperity through selling your products and your services and the value, the unique value you bring, that from that, you are able to create prosperity for others, be able to even enlighten the people on your team about how best to foster one's own prosperity, which is certainly more than money, right? Our prosperity is also our meaning, our fulfillment, our enrichment, our ability to have freedom, our ability to feel safe and secure. So just let yourself feel what's possible over the next 100 years through the work of you and your team and the many people beyond you and your current team who can create impact, scale, and prosperity for everyone it touches. So that's the picture for 100 years out. And now you just take it in and just to let yourself know that whatever you just saw is your desires in action, and your desires are speaking to you about your truth. All right. These are not wishes. These are not ideas that are silly, that are unnecessary. This is a part of your higher self speaking to you. And when we think about the world and what's possible 100 years from now, we give up the ideas that everything has to be tangible and perfect and realistic. And in 100 years, anything is possible, right? Anything is possible. So today we're gonna take out that time period of 100 years out, and we're gonna bring it in to the next 12 months. And this is part of a series that I'm doing on breakthroughs. This is the second in the series. And today we're going to talk about the architecture of breakthrough and what creates breakthrough. There are 5 growth mindsets we're going to talk about, and you're going to be able to really home in on those and create immediate lasting value to you and your team as we go through this. So let's see here. I can figure out how to change the I think I go here. Yes. No? Okay. Here we go. So we are on to the second page. Every year you are in business is an invitation to stage a massive breakthrough. Okay, so at all times in your company, there's one thing that if you really, really, really created momentum, traction, big growth in one area, it will change everything else. And so that's what we're focused on in this series, is helping you identify, first of all, what is the most meaningful breakthrough you could have in 2025? What would meaningful business growth look like in 2025 for you? What would it look like in terms of impact, scale, and profit? And in the last series, we really spent the whole time on figuring out your breakthrough. So just bring that back to your mind. And if you weren't on that call, go ahead and just take a moment and identify what would make you feel on December 31st, 2025. What would make you feel enriched? Like you could say, wow, I had such a great year. What would make you feel enriched? What would make you feel like you stretched and you feel good about that stretch? You knew that you overcame. What would make you feel really satisfied with your progress in 2025? So just let yourself know that answer, write it down. And help you see what one thing, if you accomplished it this year, would help you feel more confident next year. What would really bolster your confidence? Is it something that you would do and master? Some part of your marketing funnel that is now running beautifully, some part of your operations? What would help you feel? Is it raising a certain amount of capital? What is it that would help you feel empowered, strengthened, and emboldened as you step from one place to the next? So what's going to help you feel confidence? And so next, we're going to also look at how this breakthrough will help you unlock new possibility, embrace the new way of thinking, and have truly different outcomes than you have today. So what's the breakthrough that if you had that, it would make a big, big lasting impact in your company? And what would create transformation? So transformation, both inner and outer, for you and for your team. So you would have a big moment of breakthrough. So decide what that might be. Maybe it's doubling the number of your customers. Maybe it's designing a new product and launching it. Maybe it's acquiring another company, or maybe it has something to do with upgrading your current service or your current product in a particular way. Or maybe it's really going deep into how you serve your current customers, and you want to maybe increase by 50% the total revenue you get annually from each customer. So that could be your breakthrough goal. So go ahead and pick your breakthrough goal. So we are back here in the series. And so the first part of the series last time was to choose your 2025 breakthrough. And the next one is today is the architecture of breakthrough. And then the next one's going to be, what is your hidden breakthrough superpower? And then which puzzle will unleash breakthrough? And then you're going to discover your sequence of breakthroughs. So today you've already hopefully got your breakthrough for 2025. So we can really use it to look at the architecture of breakthrough today. So what are we going to do with the rest of our time? So we're going to focus in again on your 12-month breakthrough. Then we're going to discover the 5 growth mindsets and how you can use them starting today to really start seeing growth. I challenge you to use these 5 growth mindsets and start to see more prospects, more customers, more growth happening even this week. All right. These tools are going to help you think differently, operate differently, and so that you can start to interact differently with your customers, your team, so that you can start to see immediate growth. 30 days, you should see traction. And the third thing we're going to do is we're going to just show you, introduce you to 3 of the 3 essential tools that foster growth. 3 tools in the Force for Good system that as you use these tools over and over and over again, they become your total whirlpool of knowing what to do. it becomes your flywheel of transformational growth and breakthrough success. So let's get started into the topics here. So again, we're going to focus in on your breakthrough, and I've helped you sort of home in on what it might be. And again, it's a powerful objective that when reached creates significant positive change for your company. So pick that one goal. And as you start to identify what that goal is, start to notice how it makes you feel to imagine being on December 31st and already having it achieved, okay? So this goal will lead to beneficial outcomes that significantly enhance other aspects of your business. So what would that be? What would be something that would open up everything else? It would address a key problem whose solution either eliminates the other issues in your business or makes them much simpler to tackle. So what would be that? And if you solve for that, right? And in my company, my healthcare company, it was helping the company really learn how to grow. And our way of growing was through recruiting. So we needed a marketing funnel that would attract, enroll, engage, and put into the field every single month 15 nurses. So that was our breakthrough goal, to attract, enroll, hire, put into the field 15 nurses a month. So that was yours. And for me in A Force for Good, I want to help 100 companies experience breakthrough growth using the Force for Good system. So that's my breakthrough goal. All right. So what is yours? What's going to help you really have pivotal success that propels your business to greater influence, expansion, and profitability? And again, every year is an opportunity for a big breakthrough. What's your one this year? So be sure to have a breakthrough in mind, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It could be the one you chose during our last connection together, or it could be something a little evolved if you've thought through it and want to make a small change. So what's the outcome at your company that would change everything? Which one problem, when finally solved, will finally make everything else easier or even disappear? The challenges. And what is the single primary breakthrough that would catapult your company to the next level? So go ahead and decide, write it down, make sure it's specific, measurable, achievable with growth, resonant to you and your team, and of course, time bound. We're talking about December 31st, 2025. So now let's take your goal and apply them to the 5 growth mindsets. All right, write this down. Growth is the blank you can blank. So growth is a puzzle you can solve. All right, the point of this is that you always have the power. You always have the power to take the next brave step, okay? You always have the power to solve the next puzzle. Sometimes when we get overwhelmed, we are focused on too big of a puzzle. We're looking too big, too large, and we haven't broken down the problem enough to be able to know what it is that we need to resolve, okay? So right now, I want you to think about your 12-month breakthrough. And I want you to start using these simple questions. Every time you have a problem that you need to solve, whether it's something that's going well that you want to make even better, or it's a challenge that's causing friction and constraints, the first question is, what do I need to know? All right, so what do you need to know about your breakthrough? So what's the awareness that you need to have about your breakthrough? Is there something you don't know about how to deal with your breakthrough? So maybe it's a marketing problem or a sales problem. Maybe it has something to do with your technology and there's something you don't know. So what do you need to know in order to have a breakthrough in this area? What are the things you don't know? What are the questions you have? All right. So that's the first part. You have to look to see what it is that you know and what do you not know that you need to discover. And one of the things we'll talk about a little bit later is the 4-page growth plan. And the 4-page growth plan is a 4-page summary of everything you need to know about your business. Okay. And so that is a tool that will always help you know and question and sort of ask, what do I need to know in order to solve this problem? What do I need to know? So then the next question you ask yourself is, what do I need to change? Okay. So in order to create a new outcome, in order to have your breakthrough come about, something needs to change. So the key here is that you don't want to change everything. You want to change one thing. You want to change one important thing, one change that will make all the freaking difference. Okay. So what can you change? And part of this is knowing which information can help you choose what to change. What do you need to sort of look at? So part of it is going back to the first question is, what do I need to know? And when we look at the 4-page plan, we start to get a sense for what those things are. The other thing is that as you start, one of the things we'll talk about is that you're going to start meeting with your team weekly. And when you do this, you're going to start to talk about how everybody's doing. You're going to start to measure things. So you're going to start to see what needs to change each week, each day, each month, each year. And then what do I need to do? What can you do to serve this goal? What action can you take? We look for in the Force for Good system what we call high leverage habits, accelerators, that when you do certain things over and over again, you amplify certain things and you get better and better and better. Could be, how many sales calls you do, how many clicks you receive, or how many impressions you create, how many LinkedIn lives you do, right? So what you do and how often you do them and how well you can do them. Those are the high leverage habits. So with your goal in mind, your 12-month, what is something you could do that if you just did it a lot and you did it always getting better, what would almost guarantee you would achieve your result? So what's the high leverage habit that you or your team members, think about your team members even more than yourself, what would be the high leverage habit? And what would be some specific one-time actions or projects that could help enable you to do those high leverage habits and be able to really impact your growth, really impact your goal? And all along, you want to be thinking the question everybody on the team wants to think, but especially you, the founder, as you grow your company and your role starts to evolve and change as your company grows, is what is your highest and best use? What is your highest and best use? Is it trying to fix the toilet? Is it writing the email? Is it going and speaking to the team? Is it going to talk to the investor? What is your highest and best use today, this week, this month, this year? So these are the growth puzzles, right? So what do I need to know? What do I need to change? And what do I need to do? So here's the 4-page growth plan. And this is a curated collection of about 40 elements. We call them the core growth elements. We talk about them in the Force for Good book. And these are the things that we know, I know, you could talk to people about in the world who've grown companies. These are the things that when you know them and you articulate them and you continue to iterate on them and focus attention on them, you will solve the puzzles of growth. Now, a lot of these things are the types of things that if you don't intentionally bring them up in your daily, weekly, monthly life, they won't come up. And so these things will never come to light and be able to help you grow your company. So the 4-page growth plan, it really has 3 topics that it covers. It's knowing your purpose, knowing who you serve, knowing your 10-year impact plan, and 10 years a very specific reason, and it bubbles all the way down to a quarterly and monthly goals. And it also helps you see what your metrics are you want to focus on. This is a plan that is a living, breathing plan. You can get it at aforceforgood.biz/breakthrough-tools. And we will be using this a lot. And it would be great for you to grab that. There's also another video that you can watch that helps you to actually draft your first 4-page growth plan. This brings us to the second growth mindset: blank puzzles, blank growth. Blank puzzles, blank growth. So write this down. Sequential puzzles propel growth. Okay. So one of the big differences between good leaders and great leaders is they know they cannot do everything all at once. Great leaders understand that there has to be focus and priority, and that when you set your team off on too many directions with too many goals, with too many priorities, everybody just runs in circles. So we need to be mindful about our energy and our focus. And one thing you'll discover through this journey today is that every time you set a big goal, you can achieve it. And you're going to discover that achieving it requires focus. So sequential puzzles propel growth. So we want to do puzzling in a particular order. So one way that we can talk about it in the Force for Good system, we really drill in to help you see which puzzles you need to solve and which ones you need to solve first, second, third, and help you see what's most needed. So it's really kind of figuring out the first the breakthrough you need to have, but like what you need to solve first, second, third. And then in your 12-month breakthrough, what do you need to solve first, second, third? And so one of the ways to look at sequences is just to think about companies over a period of growth and what it looks like. Like, so you have an existence company that's just getting off the ground, ideas are formulating, you're starting to bring your first product to market, and probably the founder is the only full-time member with perhaps a few other helpers. So that's one stage of business. Then you're going to go into survival, okay? And this is where you start to have more customers, right? So now you've got more customers. Now you had before you had one or two, now you've got 100 or maybe 1,000, whatever your business model looks like. And you're unlocking some of the challenges that go with serving customers and being able to get in. So challenged by unlocking higher level growth though, and some challenges perhaps with funding. And you're still probably, as a founder in this stage, making a lot of the decisions. Everybody on the team is wearing lots of hats. You, the founder, are probably wearing many, many, many hats. And so business is maybe starting to do some goodness, and maybe it's starting to create some value, and you might be able to take a salary, but it isn't delivering you prosperity. It's certainly not delivering you the founder freedom or the choices. So this is the survival stage, and most companies stay there forever and ever and ever. It's really at the scale stage when breakthrough growth starts to happen, and where you start to be able to have the ability, you know what systems can help you scale, you know how to invest in your marketing, you have a sales operation that can work and that can scale with or without you. And the company is positioned to operate scale exponentially, so every year double its growth and achieve ever higher levels of impact. So imagine where that is compared to your company. And so you imagine that there are sequential things you need to put in place in order to get there. There's systems that need to be in place. You need to make sure your production is working. You have enough customer service people, that you've figured out all the systems are operating. So you can't do everything all at one time, and it will all cost some money. So you have to decide what's going to happen first, second, third. Do you need a CRM system now? Do you need to hire another salesperson now? Are you focused on measuring and calculating a great conversion funnel and working with SEO, or working with social media, or what is it you're doing to help you sort of create that lead generation? So at every stage, there's different puzzles. And so there's one puzzle at all times that if you focused on that puzzle, it would help everything else. And that's the 12-month breakthrough. And then once you have the 12-month breakthrough, you want to take that down into sequences. Another way I like to look at sequential puzzles is through the funnel of the traction model. So we actually have a traction assessment. I didn't mention this before, but we also have a force for good stage assessment. You can take the stage assessment at a forceforgood.biz/breakthrough-tools. The second one here is the sequential puzzles propel growth. You can look at the traction assessment. And this is where the idea of first discovering, do I have a customer? Who's my customer and what's their problem? And then what's my product, my minimum viable product that I can sell to actually get out into the market and sell my first dollar of product. And then how do I validate, right, that I have a customer? This is when you get the early adopters that gather feedback, and you're effectively addressing the needs and solving the market challenges to a certain number of customers. And then product market fit, that happens when really your product is solid enough and your marketing system is solid enough that you're starting to really see that you're getting sales and people are buying it, and there's a need for it, and it's you're growing in your knowledge of market. And then in the next stage, you have your go-to-market strategy. And then this is like, okay, we have a product and it fits a particular market, and now we're focused really on creating a growth engine, a way to market it and sell it in a very scientifically driven, data-oriented way that allows you to, again, create certainty about your growth. It includes your marketing, distribution, your pricing, your sales strategies, all integrated. And then you get to that point where you can scale. So after you fine-tune your go-to-market strategy, the next step is to scale. So now you know it works, and now you pour more and more resources into it. So this could involve expanding beyond your current customer base, entering new markets, increasing product lines and features, and scaling your operations, right? Hiring more salespeople, acquiring potentially another company. There's different ways to scale. Could be all those different pieces, and having the funding to do it. And business model optimization is throughout the whole process is what you're doing. You're optimizing your whole business. So to help you figure out where you are, and maybe this is helping you just listening and thinking about this process, where you are, and helping you again figure out what is the specific puzzle I'm trying to solve right now, and what makes the most sense to focus on right this minute, this month, this year. This brings us to growth mindset number 3, which is growth requires blank. Growth requires blank. Growth requires change. Okay, so I want you to think about this for a minute. Growth is where we have, okay, today you have 100 customers, and next year you have 200 customers. That's a change. But what else is going to create that growth? With other changes. So it's important to understand that growth doesn't come from doing the same thing. And I know I'm stating the obvious, but I have to tell you this. So it often requires, when you do especially a big breakthrough, it requires some dismantling and some building, right? So growth requires change. So right now, whatever your stage of your company, whether it's existence, survival, scaling, or impact, whatever your stage, you have a company operating system. And that system is basically like a hamster wheel. It's everybody comes to work every day, with you and your team members, and you have your hamster wheel, and this is what you do. And that hamster wheel, that way of doing things, is producing all of your results. There, whatever is happening because of your hamster wheel. So I always like to begin by saying there's nothing wrong with a hamster wheel. Love the hamster wheel. The hamster wheel is good. The hamster wheel represents everything you've built to this point. No reason to shame the hamster or the wheel. All right. So always begin from a place of gratitude and achievement and just understanding, acknowledging that the hamster wheel you have is good. It's good. So start with where you are and honor where you are. And then you can start to say, all right, well, my hamster wheel, all my systems that are in place, people, processes, actions, our current abilities and competencies, the narratives, okay, the things we talk about, narratives are important, ideas, what ideas are floating around that we're considering, what we believe about the company, what we believe about our products, what we believe about the market, what we believe about ourselves, what we think is safe, what we think is unsafe. Whatever our constraints are, at any given moment in time, we have different constraints in our company. Depends on what the systems are, depends on the people. At all times you have constraints. So what are those constraints that are affecting you right now? And those are the things that are in your hamster wheel. And right now you also have accelerators. You have those people, you have those systems, you have that part of your product, whatever it is. You have something going on in the outside world that's driving customers to you or exasperating your customers' need for your product, and it's causing them to use it more. So whatever it is, all these things are part of your current hamster wheel. So your current hamster wheel is producing your current results. It's producing whatever impact you're making on your customers, your team members, your community, the world at large. It's impacting the current level of scale you have, which we measure through revenue, number of prospects you have, the number of customers you have, the number of units sold. You can measure it other ways too, but scale. The next area of measurement for results we look at is profit. Okay, how much profitability do you have? What's your gross profit? What's your percent gross profit margin? What's your net margin? What's your net profit? And also, what's your current level of prosperity? And this is a different concept, not just money. This is more about what's helping you feel like good about your life in terms of both your freedom, your ability to have meaning, purpose, your ability to create value, your ability to feel safe, right? Safety and risk are a big part of prosperity. So all of these things are producing your current reality. So this is your sweet hamster wheel, your individual and collective hamster wheels. Remember to always love your current hamster wheel and your current results. This is super important. It's very easy to sort of say, well, here's what's wrong with the hamster wheel. This is what we got to change. Love the hamster wheel first, and then ask the question, how do we want to make the hamster wheel even better? So growth requires change. And so this model that we have here on the page is called the transformational map. And this is a visual representation of change. And so when we think about change and we think about growth in our companies, inside our companies, oftentimes what we do is we think about the linear steps and we forget about what keeps us from changing. And we forget about what's going on internally and what holds people back. And so growth requires change, and change is something that not everyone likes. And there are certain things about change that make it uncomfortable and certain things about it that can make it fun and enjoyable. So this is a big topic. It's about the idea, one of our core values at A Force for Good, which is to be transformative. It's about studying what you as a human and your team needs and your customer needs in order for change to take place. What do we need in order for change to occur? In order for me to have a new behavior, what needs to happen? So this is a visual representation. We'll talk more about this in future sessions, but it's something you can easily download, and just by following the instructions that come with it, you can start to identify your new desired outcome being the 12-month breakthrough, and all the things that need to take place in order for this change to occur. And what this is going to do is it helps you understand at a deeper level what your company needs from you, the leader, in order for change to occur. And we often think it's our actions. We all often think it's the things we're doing. But what you'll discover is so much of where you're highest and best suited is to think about how the people's thoughts and beliefs are getting in the way, and what you can do to support people's thoughts and beliefs, create new narratives, create new structures, create new rituals that help people to safely and pleasurably and joyfully and in a fun way climb a mountain together and have a breakthrough. So you can download this at the www.aforceforgood.biz/breakthrough-tool. This brings us to mindset number 4. So growth requires blank, blank across time. Write it down. Growth requires blank, blank across time. Try to guess, what is it? So growth requires measured improvement across time. Now think about this, makes sense, right? We're probably not going to just have a giant breakthrough on something overnight. I know we all want that, but it doesn't happen that way. It usually takes a little, it takes time. And really what it takes is trying something, experimenting, and then seeing how it worked. And then experimenting again and seeing how that worked. And experimenting again and seeing that worked. And every time you do that, you start to create improvements. And if you keep improving, you're going to see a breakthrough. And I always like to think about being in a boat, right? You can imagine you and your team is in a boat and you're going due south and you want to be going due north. So you can just take that rudder 1 degree and in a very short time, you will turn the whole boat around. All right. So it is measured improvement across time that helps you really facilitate that growth. So we recommend these different ways of meeting annually, quarterly, monthly, weekly, and even daily. And within the Force for Good system, we have, there's also another one that's with your board. So we call them the 7 rituals of innovation. And you can get a copy of those agendas and what you do at each of those at aforceforgood.biz/breakthrough-tools. And it helps you because each different time horizon, and these actually map out to your 4-page growth plan, help you to get to where you want to be. So whether it's your 30-day, your quarterly, your annual 12-month breakthrough, or your 3-year goals, or your 10-year impact, this gives you the ability to keep moving forward and toward your vision, toward your purpose. Now, we haven't talked about purpose at all in this call. So it's important to bring that back into the dialogue, because purpose is really going to fuel all of this. And so when you start to use these tools, the 4-page growth plan to start with, and you'll see in the transformational map as well. Purpose and vision and values and impact goals are constantly tethered into everything that we do. And so when you keep talking about the things that matter over time, you keep creating change in the service of that desire, that goal. And so I encourage you, you don't need to implement all of the 7 rituals overnight. I don't even recommend that you do. I recommend you start with a simple weekly ritual. And it's important that when you do these weekly, and I also recommend a monthly ritual, you always start honoring and celebrating what is. You're honoring your hamster wheel. Your hamster wheel is good. Love your hamster wheel. Start with that. And then you're going to look at some data. And in the weekly, you're looking at your 4-page growth plan. And then you're writing on your transformational map. You're looking at your map to see what are the actions we need to take? What are the competencies that we need to build? Is there what are the blocks that we have in terms of the way we're thinking about this? Is there something we need to learn? So you're able to use your transformational map to help you break through and have change that's beyond just what is the 3rd dimensional world, the rational, logical, telling me to create change. And the other thing that's super important, and this is probably the most important piece of it, as long as it's done with the right emotion or emotional set point and the right narrative, is that you're looking at data. So weekly and monthly, you're looking at data, you're looking at key performance indicators that are connected directly to your breakthrough. So if you are, looking to, so in my case with Lume, when we were focused on 15 nurses a month, we had like 20 or 30 different metrics that we looked at that was just related only to recruiting. So the difference at how many people applied to the job, how many people did we invite to an interview, how many interviews did we actually have, how many of those did we make offers, how many offers were accepted, how many came to orientation, how many went from orientation to the first training shift, all the way down to how many became a first were then billable. And then how many of them were lasting 90 days? Then how many were lasting 365 days? And then 2 years and so forth. So you want to start to develop your breakthrough by metrics, by understanding like how do I know where my breakthroughs will be? What do I need to track to make sure that I'm on target? So making sure every week and every month you're looking at numbers. And then always the question is, what can we stop doing or curb? What can we start doing? And what can we amplify? What can we do more of? So those are the questions that you want to look at as you're looking at numbers over time. Growth requires measured improvement across time. The last growth mindset, here it is. What confines growth isn't always what you blank. What confines growth isn't always what you blank. It's not always what you think. What confines growth isn't always what you think. So don't assume anything, right? Don't assume, oh, I don't have enough customers. I should do more search engine. I need more leads. I don't assume. You don't know. Measurements tell you what you know. And oftentimes what you think it is isn't what's real. It could be that you're getting plenty of people who come to the top of your funnel, but something happens in the second step that's like putting them off. And if you don't measure it, then you won't see that the place that it's breaking down is, well, they land on your opt-in page, but they get turned away. So you're actually getting plenty of people to your page, but then you get there and they're not signing up. So you want to measure each step and then improve it over time. That's the goal. Make small tweaks. So how you think isn't always how others think. That's the other thing that, oh my goodness, I've learned that over time. So don't think that what you need, because you think it's what needs to be done or what other people will do, is right. Like, you have to really look at the data. And then there's the other part. So this idea of what confines growth isn't always what you think is, it's on the left hand side are these ideas around, you know, you need to check the facts. But on the right hand side of the page is here, it's the human part. It's not the part that just thinks. It's the part that feels. It's the part that is uncertain. It's the part that has a mind that is, a monkey mind. So what stops us more than anything else is fear, right? Fear of all kinds. Fear of not being good enough, not smart enough, fear of being unworthy, fear of being visible, fear, right? So people feel they're not safe, so they don't do the things that maybe they would do if they were acting in their highest and best. So fear keeps people from bringing their greatness to work, including yours. Limiting beliefs. Oh, we all have limiting beliefs. Yeah, and we also, this goes on also with the idea that something else is responsible for our outcomes. There's always something to blame. There's always a reason why. That we always have an excuse. And when we live inside that limited thinking, then we take our power and throw it into the garbage. And we forget that we have the power to always make choices and always keep moving forward. So unconscious commitment. Sometimes we are more committed to staying safe than we are to growth. Sometimes we're more committed to having our way, being right, than growing and having other people be right and getting, and having going in somebody else's way. We have unconscious commitments to keep our time the way it is, right? To do things the way we've always done it and not have to change. So there's all kinds of reasons why we don't grow, because we're unconsciously committed to safety, security, to what's known, and to what we like and comfort, right? So to not doing hard things. And so those things get in our way. We're also distracted, right? So if you have 10 goals, you're distracted. And if you've got a whole bunch of things on your list all the time, you're distracted. And if the phone is ringing and there's no way to ever get it to stop, and you think you have to answer that phone the minute it rings, and there's all these emails coming and whatever, you've got distractions. So those are keeping you from doing the important work that allows for breakthrough to take place. The other thing that stops us is misalignment. And this is why one of the reasons why the 4-page growth plan is so essential, is because it puts everything in words on the page, and then we can all talk about it, and it never fails. You put word, you think everybody's on the same page about it until you write it down, and then you realize, no, that's not what I was thinking. That's not what I was thinking. So you have misalignment because things are not articulated clearly. They're not repeated enough. The narrative doesn't support it. So you have misalignment. One person thinks over here, this is the most important thing. And this person over here thinks this is the most important thing. And so you end up, your whole company is putting its energy out in many, many, many diffuse places. Ambiguity, where there's just not clarity, where you just come to work every week. I've worked with companies where you come to work every week and you don't have a really clear idea of what the strategic plan is. You don't know what the goals are. You don't know how what you do is related to that. So you just work, you just get on the hamster wheel. And then the founder, the owner, the leader is frustrated because we're not making progress. It's because of ambiguity. Something about the culture is also what stops people. If the culture is not friendly to change, if the culture doesn't reward people trying things out, if people are put in a situation where it's unsafe, if they don't feel like they belong, if there's not enough differences in the people who work in the company, then what happens is everybody starts to think that you have to be a certain way unconsciously. And the culture becomes that way, and you have groupthink, and then you don't get new ideas. But all of these things confine growth. And it's usually not just like, well, I told Nancy that she needed to do her report this way and she didn't. That's not why you're not growing. It's something else, right? It's not because your people don't know what to do. It's not because your people are incompetent. It's because there's something else systemic happening that needs to be addressed. So we just covered the 5 growth mindsets. And so the growth is a puzzle you can solve. Remember that. Restore your faith in your power at all times. Growth is a puzzle you can solve. Sequential puzzles propel growth. So don't try to do everything. Do one thing at a time and know that there is a sequence, a logical sequence for how to grow your company. Growth requires change, right? Get comfortable with that. What do we need in order to change? Growth requires measured improvement across time. We need to be looking at numbers. We need to be connecting and remembering where we're going really consistently, like every day, every week, every month, every quarter, every year, and aligning, measuring. What combines growth isn't what you think. So at the end of the day, we're still human beings and we all need patience and love and kindness. And there's certain things that we can do to be transformative and help people create change. So the tools are the 4-page growth plan, which I showed you briefly, the transformational map, which also is that visual model for how change happens, how to go from a current state to a desired state, and the 7 rituals of innovation that allow you to continue to have conversations and narratives, measure progress over time, discuss what changes need to take place, see what the sequence is. And these together are really the 3 essential tools of the Force for Good system. You can get all 3 of them at a forceforgood.biz/biz. Sorry, forceforgood.biz/breakthrough-tools. And you can also buy the book, my friends. Go to forceforgood.biz/book. And the book really takes you through every single tool in the toolkit. It helps you map out the whole 4-page plan and develop your transformational map and your 7 rituals. So today we focused on your 12-month breakthrough. We looked through the 5 growth mindsets, and we also revealed and talked about the 3 essential tools that foster growth. So next time we're going to get back together, and the next thing we'll help you do is see what your hidden breakthrough superpower is. All right. And you can go to a forceforgood.biz/breakthrough-tools to get all the tools. Thank you so much. Take a moment to honor yourself. Thank yourself for being here today. Really acknowledge your wisdom. Really take a moment to notice the insights that you created and that you started to get. I bet you already have created some insights on what you can do to move your company forward. So take the time right now to write down 2 actions, 2 actions you can take today to move your company forward. And just remember, the world is made better by women-led business. So let's all go make the world a better place. Have a great day.